Good morning. This is Ollie Smoot.
Ollie, and where are you, Ollie? What city and state?
I'm in San Diego, California, looking at the beautiful sunrise.
Well, Ollie, as I told you earlier, we have some 55 people in an auditorium in Dallas, Texas, all because of something you did in 1958. So please be aware of that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to put the phone down. We're going to proceed with opening our program, on which you have a prominent role. And when we get to that point in the program, please tell us about the most recent book that is in the juvenile library that we will be donating today. So I'll hold that thought and we will get started. So thank you for being with us, and we'll be back to you in due time. Okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm Mike Demas, and I decided to change my title. Up until today, I was the executive secretary of the Kirkland Society, but having talked to the president yesterday, I've decided to change my title to executive director. So as the executive director of the Kirkland Society, I want to welcome you. I want to thank everyone who is here, and we have your names, and you all are ipso facto made members of the Kirkland Society by your presence today. So congratulations. The Kirkland Society welcomes all of us today. It takes a village, and that is certainly true for our program today. First, we want to thank, please hold your applause, and then let's give them a little round of applause. First, we want to thank our amazing community life department, who has played a major role with our time that we'll spend together today. Daisy Fuentes, Rachel Martin, and especially Dora Levia, who is with us today and has been essential for our AV management today. And also Adriana, Chelsea, and Kiona have helped very much in providing our copies for our program and our handouts today. We want to acknowledge a recent teammate who has also been of great help, Troy Barber. Troy, thank you. He's here on this Saturday, our catering chief, who has kept us in our creature comforts for the time that we'll have today. What would we do without these folks? And how grateful I am this morning at 7 o'clock a.m. to get a phone call from Hector Pagan. Hector is one of those unsung heroes at BVN in the housekeeping department. And immensely, I give thanks to Hector for our setup today. So thank you, and all, any of those that I have missed. So let's give them a collective round of applause. We have dignitaries. We have guests. Of course, we start with our guest of honor, who we've heard from a little bit later, all the way from San Diego, Oliver R. Smoot Jr., or, as affectionately we've come to know him, Ollie Smoot. In no order of exaltation in it, I wish to acknowledge the founders of the Kirkland Society, President Emmett Nelson, and board members James Roden and Bob Canovi, all founding members of the Kirkland Society. We wish to welcome all other Smoots with us today who at any time in their lives have achieved the length of 5 feet 7 inches. We have with us today Bob Steves. Is Pat Markell with us? Pat is a perfect Smoot, and I have her driver's license copy to prove it. And Daisy Fuentes, who is not with us today, is also a perfect Smoot. Now, Bob Steves holds the distinction of being both an MIT graduate and a perfect Smoot. So let's give Bob a second round. Speaking of MIT graduates, we have at least one other MIT graduate with us today that is very familiar with the Smoot, an outside guest from the community, my friend Robin McCaffrey. Robin, where are you? Robin. Robin is a former city planner of the city of Dallas and a member of the Dallas MIT Alumni Club, Dallas Fort Worth MIT Club. We actually have a Lambda Chi Alpha person here, our own Gilbert Brown from the University of Texas. Where's Gilbert? Gilbert! Of course, all of those that are participating in our program today are dignitaries, and we shall introduce and acknowledge them as we go along. Today is truly a day of celebration. What are we celebrating today? We're celebrating the life of Bob Kerwin and Ollie Smoot. We are celebrating a remarkable city, and a portion of that city known as Dallas Lake Highlands, Texas. We are celebrating a remarkable achievement in building a bridge and a remarkable volunteer who helped make that come into existence and then wrote a story about it. We're celebrating the skills and education which make a bridge, and the skills and education that will lead us into a future of quantum and artificial intelligence. And those will be the first Smoot Book Awards that we make today. Now let's get to it, and please grab your agenda and let's look at this agenda. I want to tell you that with some exceptions, Susan and Mike Zimmerman, who is from Dallas Lutheran School, and Joe Blackmer, our own PDM, and former professor from Richland College, I have no idea what these people are going to say. And I am concerned about our president, Emmett, because I gave Emmett 32 words to say. And his fellow board member, James Rogan, came up and told me that there was no way that Emmett was going to stay within 32 words. Now, if you will look at your agenda, under item number 2, we've completed number 1. Under item number 2, you will see the word piano. Now, that is a piano mentally, not physically. Because of the logistics involved, our speakers will all be coming to the podium, and they each have an uninterrupted 10 minutes. Now, speaker number 2 is Carol Donovan, who I'll introduce in a moment. Carol and I were experienced Toastmasters, and we have time limits. And these time limits for each of these speakers are 8 to 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes is 30 seconds. We will clap them down. And please don't be shy. Please don't be shy, because with some of these speakers, as disciplined as they are, they would run on over those 10 and a half minutes. Now, take a break, take a stretch. At any time, if you feel constrained, you can yell out or shriek or do whatever you want, get up and walk around. But we will have a little downtime, fun time, under item number 3, where John Landino and Bob Holmes will lead us in singing a song familiar to some of us who remember that singing rage, Miss Patty Page, and we will be singing Cross Over the Bridge halfway through our program. From then, Tom Borch will move into our Smoot measurements, and I think it will be in that part of the portion that Tom will also be giving the Smoot measurements for our Skillman Street Bridge, and I will be introducing a wild card the president of the Kerwin Society, Mr. Emmett Nelson. Finally, we will be presenting our first Smoot Book Awards, and we're very honored to have Kobe Okasami here with his teacher, Mike Zimmerman from Dallas Lutheran School, and Joe Blackburn will be introducing our winner from Richland College in Construction Management, Mr. Alex Martinez. Alex has a real-time job. He has to be at work today, and the main thing, our main objective, is to get Alex to work on time. So I will be playing timekeeper, working Alex to make sure we get you out of here in time. Now, without any further ado, let me do a blanket introduction of each of our speakers. And so when each of our speakers conclude, then we'll give them a nice round of applause as their next speaker comes up to the podium. And Ollie, we're going to cut very short the truth that I think everyone in the room realizes, that on a fateful October evening in 1958, your fraternity brothers had you go up late at night, unseen by certainly the authorities, and place you down on the Harbor Bridge, also known as the Massachusetts Avenue Bridge, which runs between Boston and Cambridge, and measure the length of that bridge in the lengths of your body, which came up to 364.4 smoots plus a year. And that evening, although you did not realize, was very eventful in the future course of your life. We'll hear more about that. But what was originally Crane has become a Boston landmark. And every year since, Lambda Chi Alpha pledges have repainted the Smoot tallies on the bridge. And you have briefly served as the chairman of the American National Standards Institute and president of the International Organization of Standardization. And you are very pleased with the progress that has continued on the Harbor Bridge. Lights were placed on there at a commemoration event, and they immortalized your famous journey across the bridge. And so we really give thanks for your being so willing to be a part of our Texas Smoot Day and to be with us. Next, I want to remind us about the life and work we remember in our favorite namesake, Bob Kerwin. Bob Kerwin is still celebrated for his invention of the self-aligned silicon gate. It's a process that Bob invented with others in 1966, a technique that allowed for the reliable miniaturization and very large-scale integration of transistors on silicon. And it's still used today in the fabrication of almost every computer chip made. In 1994, he received the prestigious Jack A. Morton Award from the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers for outstanding contributions in the field of solid-state devices, and was inducted into the New Jersey Inventors Hall of Fame. That very same year for extraordinary contributions to the advancement of knowledge and human welfare. Bob's final days were spent with us here at Presbyterian Village North, near his son Colin. It was here that Bob shared with us the truth of the Smoot. Bob's love of life and gift of wonderful fellowship remain a legacy, a bridge that Bob Kerwin's life itself formed between the world of science and the public at large. This forms a firm foundation connecting our nation's material progress and the human spirit. So that is what we come to honor today. And we honor that along with the adult life after college of Ollie Smoot. Ollie is an American Lawyer and Trade Association executive, now in retirement. He is a member of the bars of the District of Columbia and Virginia, Vice President of the American National Studies Institute, Chairman of the Information Infrastructure Study Panel since 1998, member of the American Bar and Chairman of its Science and Technical Section, Computer Law Association President, and the Association for Computing Machinery, all positions he's held in the past. We will hear first today from Susan Morgan. Susan describes herself as a small-town girl from Northeast Ohio. She earned a business degree at Bowling Green State University and flew around the world, advising business partners at the height of the 1990s tech boom. Susan exited corporate life early to pursue her cornucopia of interests. We're grateful for that. Cornucopia of interest as a community organizer, crafter, singer, speaker, and now author. Susan lives in Lake Highlands, Dallas, Texas. Her recent book, Build a Bridge to Somewhere, tells of her service to our Dallas and Lake Highlands communities, which has brought us our new Skillman Street Bridge. Next, our speaker number 2, will be Carol Crabtree Donovan. With decades of experience as an attorney mediator, business executive, political leader, and active nonprofit volunteer, Carol builds bridges herself, and as do all our speakers, gets things done. I've had the privilege of also knowing Carol as a leader and organizer of Dallas Lions clubs, both the Oak Cliff Club and now the Dallas Founders Club, its original club that she has helped revive and meets in Preston Center. She's an experienced leader in Toastmasters International. Carol knows well the life of Skillman Street as a resident of Lower Skillman Street area as it winds through Richardson's, Lake Highlands, and East Dallas. She holds the distinction of being the first female president of the UT Austin student body, defeating Thomas Boston, our own frequent speaker. A pivotal event for both Carol and for Talmadge.
And we still speak.
And they still speak to each other. Our fourth speaker will be, our third speaker in order will be Alan Dyer. Alan and his wife Barbara. And Barbara, let me say, is a former PhD professor of ESL at Richland College and has been instrumental, along with Joe, in establishing our connection with Richland College for a program today. She's recently, along with Alan, come to join us as residents at PVN, transitioning from their former longtime Lake Highlands residents, maybe more than one. Initially earning advanced academic and business recognition in media, this is back to Alan. Alan began his financial services career in which he has enjoyed success in aiding clients with responsible stewardship through customized investment strategies. His years of leadership in many Dallas and national civic, university, and political organizations have enabled Alan to construct strong, enduring bridges. Now, as you would imagine, we could have continued much longer with the pedigrees of each of our speakers, and insofar as it is relevant to their message to us today, they will certainly fill in. So without any further delay, and seamlessly as we move through our four speakers, let me welcome Susan Morgan.
Hello, my name is Susan Morgan. I'm a neighbor. I live down the road at Greenville and Whitehurst. My husband and I, Tom and I have lived there in Lake Highlands for over 40 years. We raised our son here. He graduated from Lake Highlands High School, and he now lives in Houston with his wife and my 2 grandsons. If you go about that far in the other direction, I spent about 20 years of my career working for Texas Instruments. I feel so grateful that they recruited me out of Ohio and brought me down here. I say I was raised professionally by TI because they actually had a big impact on the direction of my career, and I'm very grateful for that. I had the opportunity to retire early, and like any good retiree, I started looking for something to do with my spare time. I started looking for ways to give back to the community, and I found myself wandering into a town hall meeting. At the time, Alan Long was our council representative, and he was taking a lot of heat in the meeting about the shopping centers in the area that were in decline. And he asked for help from the community. He said, if somebody wants to help, please do. I said, well, I had a business background. It sounds like another business problem to solve, so how hard could that be? So I joined up. It took me a while to get my sea legs, but coming from private industry and doing business in private industry, figure out how to take those skills and apply them to public service. By this time, Bill Blades is now our city councilman, and Bill was putting his vision in place for Lake Highlands. And his vision includes that beautiful town center that we have down the road at Skillman and the corner of Walnut Hill. But also as a part of his vision, he envisioned Skillman Street as being Main Street in Lake Highlands. So he was putting together a committee to do a long-range plan and asked me if I would participate on the committee and help build the District 10 strategic plan. And I said yes. Well, it was at one of those meetings, there was a city planner that came to visit, and we were looking at the map that day, and the planner said, you have an extreme opportunity for growth and viability there at the confluence of 3 transportation arteries, that being Skillman Street, LBJ Freeway, and the Darg Rail Line. He said, this could develop into a gateway, not just a gateway to the community of Lake Highlands, but a gateway to the city of Dallas coming from the northeast. Well, I looked at that and talked to Bill Blades about it, and apparently the plan on the table was to build a flyover bridge. There was a lot of congestion in the area, and they said, that would have to be fixed. So TxDOT had the idea of taking Skillman Street and flying over LBJ Freeway. And I said, Bill, if that's the plan, let's get it moving. Will you help me? And he said, yeah. So he immediately started opening doors for me, introducing me to people at TxDOT and at the city. And he warned me about how long this project would take. And I said, well, I had multi-year programs. I installed Texas Instruments. I wasn't really put off by that. Little did I know how long public projects can take. But anyway, so I went, I started working with the people that he introduced me to, and it took some effort. People have asked me, just how did you get involved? What did it take? How did you know what to do? And there's just a lot to tell, and that's why I wrote a book, just to tell the story. But I thought, maybe perhaps I had a unique perspective because I was taking my corporate experience and applying that into the public world, and it just kind of lost my train of thought here. And also, just there are many stories that are just kind of fun to tell about all of this. I've also wrote it in terms of lessons learned, and there are lessons there about leadership, lessons about volunteering, and my personal favorite is Chapter 4, There's Always Money Somewhere. The question is how to get your hands on it, but The stories go on, and I don't have time to go into all of that today, but I want to share one with you that was actually pivotal to the entire project. I was meeting with a few team members at Cindy's Pancake House down the road. A gentleman next to us got up out of his booth and walked by our table, apologized for interrupting us, and apologized for eavesdropping on our conversation. And he put his business card on the table and said, "My name is Tip Housewright. I'm a commercial architect. And you don't want to build that flyover bridge." I kind of looked at him and he said, "I live in the neighborhood and I have a few ideas on how to design that to better enhance the economic viability of the area. And if you would like to know more, just give me a call." Well, I did. And I immediately asked him if he would be on our committee, and he said yes. And it changed the whole trajectory of the project, because if we built that flyover bridge, the traffic would have flown past all the retailers that we were trying to help on the ground. And now we have what we have today, which opens the doors for economic opportunity. So that was just a piece of, it's like I'd rather be lucky than good. That was a piece of luck that, it's just kind of exceptional that it happened in happenstance. So I brought some pictures with me today to show some of this stuff. Here we are back in 1942, looking at the area. You can see, if I can get this to, there we go. Audelia is kind of the main drag through this farm area. And I love showing this to audiences like this, because inevitably somebody's going to raise their hand and say, "Oh, I remember playing on so-and-so's farm around the creek there." And the big deal, this area was called Audelia because of the name of the road, and the big intersection was Forest in Audelia. Then in 1953, you can see where they're starting to develop and clear land for LBJ Freeway. And interestingly, Skillman starts coming to us from out of the north. Now, I think of Skillman as an artery from downtown, coming out of downtown. But the way it developed was people from the outer regions coming into town. And, in the early days, it wasn't even there. Well, by 1972, LBJ Freeway had been completed. And you can see Audelia is kind of receding into just a neighborhood path, whereas Skillman is taking on more prominence. And the two were threaded together in this intersection. They had a lot of room with all that farmland, so they were able to do that. Well, it didn't take the developers long. 10 years later, you can see the development that happened, and the congestion just got worse and worse. This infrastructure that they built here, when they had a lot of space, just was not conducive to all of the congestion that came on in the coming years. I brought this slide for all the geeks in the room. I have never done a traffic study, but one of the biggest hurdles we had to cross was doing a traffic study to make sure that our new design was going to be effective from a transportation standpoint. And you can see, excuse me, you can see at the top here where Audelia Road is coming in from the north, and it's coming in at right angles to Skillman, so that Skillman had a single thread going across LBJ. Again, Audelia coming from the south and connecting to Whitehurst at right angles. The North Central Texas Council of Governments has some massive models that they can use to model this activity, and fortunately we had a passing grade. Not only did we have a passing grade, but we were better than, of course, the current situation, which was pretty dire. That's why we call it the Bermuda Triangle, but also the flyover bridge. So we were the preferred design for this intersection. And this is what it looks like today. This was taken just a few weeks ago. You can see again Audelia coming up from the south, connecting with Skillman as it crosses the bridge and going over to Whitehurst. And then it does the same thing on the north, although it's not on this slide. This is the temporary bridge that people have been using for the last couple of years to get across, and they're already tearing it down. They still have a lot of work to do, though, to get that completely finished up. And here we are, standing on the ridge at the ribbon cutting. This is your current city council member, Kathy Stewart, former council member Adam Ahu. There's the architect, Tim Housewright, and me. And this is what it looks like at night. They put a lighting package on it that's really quite extraordinary. It glows in the dark. And in a couple weeks, we're going to actually look at a test of the lighting package. It's going to turn colors on the holidays. And I did not know this.